So, yes, Vikas, we have begun the live streaming now. So, over to you.
Uh, thank you, sir. It's an honor for me today to host this program, and what a privilege it has been to host none other than Sri Ajay Singh ji, who is currently Press Secretary to the Honorable President of India. You all are familiar with Sri Ajay Singh ji. He has around 4 decades of career in journalism. He started his career with Times of India in 1985 and worked with Economic Times, Telegraph. Later, he joined Pioneer and Pioneer Business Standard, and he also worked with Star News, NewsX, and was the editor of Governance Now. Ajay Singh ji has written three very interesting book, and in fact, this is the fourth book. The three books are the Pilibhit killings, the Purulia arms drop, the Hawala scam. All of these were bestsellers and dominated the national discourse for years. Today, we are discussing this very fascinating account, the architect of the new BJP, how Narendra Modi transformed the party. It's a very well written book. It has really gone into deep questions and involved meticulous research on the part of author. Without wasting much time, I would invite Sri Ajay Singh ji to briefly speak on this book. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Vikas. First of all, I would like to correct you that this is my first book. This is not the third book. The other two are stories which I had written. And those stories, those were the stories that I broke. So those were not translated into books. I mean, those were stories that appeared in Times of India and Pioneer when I was there. So this is my first book, and it is about the organizational skills of the Prime Minister. So now anybody could ask me that why did you choose to write on organizational skills? To my mind, there was a phenomenal expansion of the BJP's organizational structure, which we had never anticipated around 15 years back or 10 years back. If somebody would have asked me 10 years back that do you expect that BJP would expand in Northeast, I would have said that no, I didn't. And across Vindhya, there is an expansion. Then Eastern India, beyond Bihar, even in Bihar, there were certain pockets where the BJP was influential. But in Odisha or in Bengal, there was no scope of BJP as such, as an organization. So what is it that has, that has made the BJP such a robust organization that it has expanded everywhere, especially in Northeast and Eastern parts of India? So that was behind, that was the reason why I chose to write on organizational skill. Now, if you were to ask me that, is it a kind of comprehensive book on Modi? No, it is not. It focuses purely on organizational skills of the Prime Minister, and those skills I have defined that conventional skills and unconventional skills. What were the conventional skills that were applied earlier? So in my book, I have tried to explain it that conventional skills were that BJP used to rope in RSS cadre. RSS cadres were loaned to BJP and they formed a kind of a steel frame on which the organization was built. Second, was that you rope in some notables. I mean, those who are very strong leaders in their own right. Not strong leaders, I would say that feudal lords, for instance, or some other persons. So notabilization of the party, that was a strategy, political strategy of the Congress. Congress used to adopt this kind of a strategy, which BJP replicated in the process of its expansion. But there was another strategy which Modi has applied, and that was about to bring in somebody who is very influential without caring for his antecedents. If you read the book, I have mentioned about Sudha Yadav. She is from Haryana. She was the widow of a Kargil war hero. So how she was roped in, and how she was taken to contest the election in Gurgaon, and she won that election. So that was a new strategy. So if there is someone whose influence could be translated into political capital, this was a new strategy that we should take him in the party and use his influence, his or her influence. So these are the three strategies on which Modi has built the party, and I have tried to explain it right since 79, when he was in BJP, and 85, 86 when he became the part of BJP. In 79 he was with the RSS, and when 86 he became the part of the BJP, what kind of conventional methods and unconventional methods he had applied to enlarge the base of the party. So in the process of writing this book, I took almost 4.5 years. My trouble was that as a journalist, I know how to write 1,000-word story. And I know the platform on which it will appear. But my problem was, when you write 60,000 words, where will you take it to? I mean, no newspaper would publish it, so you have to go to a publisher. So I kept on writing. I took 4.5 years. I spoke to nearly 100 people who were associated with the Prime Minister in his various capacities, right from General Secretary organization in state to RSS Pracharak, and then to Chief Minister and Prime Minister. So I had spoken to all of them. I gathered the information. I wrote almost all the books on the BJP, known books. I mean, right from Craig Baxter to the new one by Nalin Mehta and everyone. So I tried to imbibe everything, and then I made an attempt to write this story. Most of it I tried to keep it in a style which is anecdotal, in order to make it understand to ordinary readers, so that it should not look like complex academic jargon. I mean, it doesn't have that kind of academic jargon except in the last chapter. So that was the whole idea, and now the book is in your hand, so you are the best judge. I leave it to you to say anything about it. I mean, somebody may like it, somebody may not like it. So it is up to you. Thank you.
थैंक यू सर. और मैं क्षमा प्रार्थी हूँ कि मैंने मुझसे ये गलती हुई कि मैंने आपको बायोग्राफिकल डिटेल्स में 2 किताबें जो कि स्टोरीज थी उनको किताबों के रूप में प्रस्तुत कर दिया। कृपया उस बात को आप अन्यथा न
नहीं नहीं।
लें। और ये भी हो सकता है कि मैं आपके लेखों से और वर्तमान में इस किताब को पढ़ने के बाद आपके विचारों से इतना प्रभावित हुआ कि शायद स्टोरीज को पुस्तक में परिवर्तित कर दिया। किंतु यह जो पुस्तक मेरे हाथ में है, मतलब यह एक किसी भी एकेडमिशियन के लिए ये एक शोध का स्रोत भी बन सकती है। इसके दो प्रमुख कारण हैं। सबसे जो बड़ा कारण है वह है कि पुस्तक किस प्रमाण और स्रोत पर आधारित है। अगर हम देखें तो 2014 के पश्चात भारतीय राजनीति में एक फंडामेंटल चेंज आता है और इस परिवर्तन की व्याख्या कई समाजविदों ने की, कई बुद्धिजीवियों ने इस पर आलेख और पुस्तकें लिखी, किंतु यह पुस्तक बहुत अलग है। इसका जो इस पुस्तक की जो सबसे खास बात मुझे लगी वह इसके स्रोत लगे। लगभग 100 व्यक्तियों के साक्षात्कार या उनसे विमर्श पर यह पुस्तक आधारित है। इन 100 व्यक्तियों में बुद्धिजीवी वर्ग शामिल है, इसमें भाजपा के कार्यकर्ता, नेतृत्व और संगठन से जुड़े हुए लोग शामिल हैं, इसमें आरएसएस और उसके एफिलिएट ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस से जुड़े हुए लोग शामिल हैं। और जब मैं इस पुस्तक के विषय में जब शोध कर रहा था तो मैंने एक इंटरव्यू देखा सर का, जिसमें सर ने ये भी बताया कि इस पुस्तक के लेखन के दौरान उन्होंने जो लोग प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी से जुड़े हुए थे, जहां तक कि उनके ड्राइवर, शायद उनके भी इन्होंने कुछ इंटरव्यूज या उनसे भी इन्होंने कुछ वार्तालाप की। यह पुस्तक कई नौकरशाहों के भी प्रोमिनेंट ब्यूरोक्रेट्स के भी इंटरव्यू पर आधारित है। राजनीतिक वर्ग विभिन्न दलों से आधारित है। और जो दूसरा इस पुस्तक का एक बड़ा स्तंभ है वह श्री अजय जी स्वयं है, क्योंकि 1985 से इन्होंने जब अपना जर्नलिज्म का कार्य आरंभ किया और लगभग 2017 में इस पुस्तक को शुरुआत किया, और तो आप देख सकते हैं कि एक करीब 3.5 दशक का एक अनुभव था। एक राजनीतिक जर्नलिस्ट रहे हैं अजय सिंह जी, और तमाम प्रधानमंत्री मोदी से ये जब वे गुजरात के मुख्यमंत्री थे उस समय भी इनकी मुलाकात थी, उस समय भी इन्होंने इंटरव्यू किया था। तो यह जो पुस्तक है दरअसल यह मोदी मंथन है। यह पुस्तक महिमा मंडन नहीं है, यह पुस्तक एक मंथन है, यह पुस्तक एक चिंतन पर आधारित है, यह पुस्तक एक विचार प्रस्तुत करता है, यह पुस्तक एक ऐसे स्रोतों पर आधारित है जिसकी गंभीरता आने वाले समय में सभी लोग लेंगे। क्योंकि बहुत सारी जो पुस्तकें आई, जो 2014 के चुनाव हों या 2019 के चुनाव हैं, वे ज्यादातर विश्लेषण थी चुनाव के डेटा पर आधारित। किस वर्ग ने किसको मतदान किया, मोदी की क्या भूमिका रही, राजनीतिक नेतृत्व चुनाव को कितना प्रभावित करता है। किंतु जो गहराई के क्वेश्चन थे कि एक ऐसे नेतृत्व का उभार भारत में एक ऐसे समय में क्यों होता है, उस नेतृत्व का इतिहास क्या है और उस इतिहास का राजनीति पर कितना प्रभाव पड़ेगा, और आखिर क्यों भाजपा का संगठन भारी पड़ा कांग्रेस पर। तो ये जो एक मंथन है, इसीलिए मुझे लगा, मैं 2 चीजों में बहुत ही इस पूरे पुस्तक को कई बार पढ़ा, उसके बाद मैं 2 चीजों में काफी सोचा कि इस पुस्तक का अगर कहीं रिव्यू लिख के भेजना हो तो उसका एक शीर्षक लिखना क्या उपयुक्त रहेगा। तो मुझे लगा कि एक तो द इंडियन वे ऑफ पार्टी बिल्डिंग स्ट्रेटजी, और मेरे जैसे राजनीति विज्ञान का जो विद्यार्थी है उसके लिए और बहुत ही इतने सरल भाषा में, इतने सहजता के साथ पूरे दल का एक इतिहास लिख देना और यह भी बता देना कि दल और संगठन एक नहीं होते हैं। संगठन एक ऐसा शब्द है जो भाजपा के संदर्भ में ज्यादा उपयोग में आया और इसीलिए इन्होंने कई बड़े जो राजनीतिक विज्ञान के व्यक्ति रहे हैं, there are many eminent political scientists whom the author tried to engage, including Myron Wiener, and presented this संगठनिस्ट मॉडल ऑफ पार्टी बिल्डिंग। और एक जगह पर जो मुझे बहुत अच्छा लगा पुस्तक में, जो जिस तरह से इन्होंने लिखा, जब प्रधानमंत्री मोदी का जब माननीय अजय सिंह जी इंटरव्यू ले रहे थे, साक्षात्कार कर रहे थे, तो मोदी जी ने एक लाइन कही, द कैरिज्मा कैन नॉट सस्टेन द पीपल्स ट्रस्ट फॉर लॉन्ग। तो व्हाट सस्टेन्स द कैरिज्मा इन डेमोक्रेसी? Is it the organization? Is it the leader? Is it the narrative? So this book tries to answer a lot of questions. But after reading this book, I came up with a formulation of 6 I's. And though I was very fascinated by this because I read a lot of books on elections, political leadership, but none of the authors go so deep and involved. And honestly speaking, a work which has the author was experienced enough to have finished in 1 week or 10 days or 1 month or 2 months, but it is a work which took him around 3 to 4 years. It is a work that really is based on rich experience of a political journalist who has covered so many prime ministers, who has seen the rise and fall of so many ministries, who has seen the Hawala scam, who has broken those stories, and younger generation probably might not be aware of those issues. So he already is a resource in himself to write an authoritative account on the leadership aspect. But then too, he went deep and interviewed around 100 individuals belonging to diverse, diverse class, belonging to diverse organizations. That speaks about the integrity, that speaks about the honesty with which this work has been written. But most importantly, it gives us a sense of profound research. जब भी हम किसी भी चुनाव का अध्ययन करते हैं तो हम बात करते हैं संगठन, विचारधारा, कैडर और चुनाव, लेकिन इन सब के मध्य जो सबसे बड़ी भूमिका होती है वो नेतृत्व होती है, नेतृत्व की भूमिका होती है। और इसी के मध्य में इसी पर आधारित है चुनाव, कैडर, विचारधारा और नेतृत्व। अगर आप इन 4 शब्दों को जोड़ते हुए, मेरे बहुत सारे रिसर्च स्कॉलर्स भी यहाँ पे हैं, अगर इन 4 शब्दों को आप जोड़ते हुए कुछ लिखने की कोशिश करेंगे तो वो इस तरह की पुस्तक आती है। जब मैं इस पुस्तक को पढ़े तो मेरे दिमाग में 2-3 क्वेश्चन बहुत स्ट्राइक किए। The first question really was, why did and this is a book that all of you should read to understand the essential and fundamental distinction that exists between BJP and the Congress. They are not two parties based on distinct ideological visions, but they are also based on the ways in which BJP has been able to organize itself in a very profoundly distinct manner. So why did the Congress and so for instance, 2 questions that stuck me quite deeply were, why did the Congress came to identify less with ideology and put more emphasis on the idea of India being its minimum ideological code? And the author shows in a very lucid manner that over a period of time, the Congress party, which had this civilizational basis to its core, but by 1970s there was a civilizational disruption in the imagination of in the ideological imagination of this party. And you have to understand that the cadre-based parties like left, they also tried to monopolize the this weakness of the Congress party and monopolized the ideological space of the Congress party. No, this was a kind of strategy of Congress party, because having a minimum ideological code made it more acceptable. It opened the ways and avenues for expansion and retention of the social base that the party had traditionally. So while the BJP was very different, BJP was very affirmative and vocal about its ideological space. Initially, BJP was, or what the earlier in its earlier formulation, it was Bharatiya Jan Sangh. It was more protectionist about its ideological space. Even it had reservations about, as Sri Ajay Singh ji was pointing out, about appropriation of leaders or appropriation of alliances. It is only by late 1970s when we could see that Bharatiya Jan Sangh became more open to the idea of alliances. But the way Mr. Singh presents this thing and draws a distinction between Congress, left parties, and BJP is a very interesting take, and which researchers should always take into consideration. He shows in a very lucid manner how Congress, which was a mass-based party, could never become very protective or defensive about its ideological base, while the left party, which was cadre-based party, was always very firm and upfront about its ideological space. And then there was BJP, which was something like Sangathanist model of a party, which had a very ideological space, was its core. And as you move on to the history, there was Narendra Modi, who has seen the working of RSS. He came to the BJP in mid 1970s, but before that, he has involved himself in relief operations. He has understood the idea of Sangathan, and Sangathan is something wherein which is basically responsible for why you don't see a lot of defection away from BJP. There may be disaffection with the BJP, there may be some discontent, but leaders don't leave the party. While if you look at other parties like the Congress or the left, you clearly see that there are leaders who move away, and many a times they join the BJP. But Singh shows this quite convincingly, that even when other members from the party joins BJP, the BJP does not. The BJP is capacious in terms of appropriation and political induction, but it does not dilute its core objective, and which is the strength of this India way of party building strategy, or the Sangathanist model of party building. So if you have to understand Narendra Modi's story through this book, I will list 6 I's that I captured from this book, and these are the terms that the author himself uses quite extensively while tracing the journey of Narendra Modi from 1970s to to 2019. So the 6 I's are innovation, infrastructure, ideology, ideas, intention, and information. How could BJP spread and expand in parts of India which remained wary of its ideological aspirations? So this was only possible because because there was a leader uh, who could who could have have the capacity to manage the information about the party, about the leadership, which was being inculcated to the masses. He could innovate the party. He has seen that. And one very important thing that comes to our mind is that the innovation happens both through appropriation of values, and innovation also happens through organizational revamping. And there's a story which goes that in 1985, when BJP has lost the election, the first election that it contested after being formed, then one of the very prominent journalists went to Vajpayee for his interview, and he said that what do you see the future of party? Then Vajpayee disclosed that yes, there are leaders who are old now, and probably we need to renew our messaging, but we have young leaders. And he pointed towards Pramod Mahajan and Arun Jaitley. So there was this thing that the ability of Narendra Modi to spot young leaders, to connect with these leaders, and the ability to make the party retain its ideological base. Uh, the fourth aspect is, of course, the ideology, and it is the ideology is one of the most significant component that contributes to this Sangathanist model of party building. And you have to and the author points out that the Congress has faced this with the idea of civilization, faced this disruption in mid 1970s. But if you see, the present thirst of the party is really towards emphasizing upon the civilizational basis of Indian nation, and which is what adds to the aspirations of the voters, which is what is acting as the mobilizer for the party. The other aspect which I would like to mention, and which I draw from this book, was the aspect of infrastructure, and which the author points out that when Modi was in charge of states like Himachal Pradesh or Haryana, he was quite assertive about building up infrastructure, about connecting the base with the leaders, and do an organizational revamping. So establishing offices, and this is something I have observed post 2014 in Assam itself, where you see BJP has built not only its social base, but it has also created the infrastructure of the party, both organizationally and virtually. The social media space, as well as the real infrastructure basis, the party office, is something something that other parties need to learn, and which is what is making BJP a hegemonic party. Now, the other I is ideas. And here I would take you to 2013, when the Indian economy was growing. Between 2007 to 12, the Indian economy was growing in good pace, but the Congress party was not able to catch on this idea of economic growth. It was bit it was because it was emphasizing more about it was a party which was more left of center, and was more apologetic about openness or liberalization of economy, while Modi comes as a leader who was very clear in his vision about governance, economy, and foreign policy, and how the three are really integrated, and how the three have to be embedded in the civilizational basis of nation state, and which is what makes BJP an exceptional party. And precisely for this reason, Modi gives a call for maximum governance and minimum government. Precisely for this reason, we see that that Modi was quite upfront about economic growth in all his speeches. When he during the election campaign, he put economy at the center stage. And the last I is intention, and which has also to do with what most of you call as the Labharthi group. And the author has pointed out in details that there were certain decisions which the prime minister has to made, but it never led to an emergence of disaffection or disruption of the trust that people reposed in the leadership of prime minister. And one reason was because of the intention, because of the trust that the leadership has created. And this trust has to do with this intention has had a firm basis in the programmatic content of the party. So there was at the core was ideology, but also at the margins was the policy and programmatic content of the party. So this programmatic content of the party has been something that has been able to sustain the party, and which is what answers the question ki, that the charisma factor, because charisma alone cannot sustain the party. This charisma may be attribute of the leader's personal equation. It may be because of the particular ideological position that a leader assumes. It may be because of the particular social, political, economic context. But what has really also strengthened the position and hegemonic character of this party is also the intention, which has been reaffirmed in elections after election. So you see that today you have many schemes like the Jan Dhan Yojana, for instance, or in Assam we have Arunodaya, but there are many schemes, and the total sanitation campaign or the Swachh Bharat Yojana. If you see, it has been able to identify beneficiaries, and citizens have been able to receive something in real time. Citizens have been able to receive what has been promised. And this programmatic and the policy, policy commitment is something that also leads to, leads to thriving of the core ideological space of the party. And when BJP has expanded, whether in the northeast or the southward, or even if it has been able to maintain its momentum in its traditional bastion, it is on the basis of this Modi month, and other factors are also there. And it is not that the author tries to present a hiatus between what BJP was earlier and what it is now. Of course, there has been a sudden change there, and the change has really been rapid. But one thing we have to understand, and which is that when Modi was endorsed by the BJP to lead the campaign, at that moment of time in 2013, the BJP was not organizationally resilient. The BJP had a very weak organization. Its vote share in 2009 was well below 20%. So it is on the basis of certain vision, the ideological vision, the certain key ideas which and the aspect of leadership which really became a center for attraction, which became a pull factors for the voters to come and vote in favor in favor of the BJP. And this aspect of one thing which I really liked most about this book was the sentence that the author uses about civilizational disruption. And because this civilizational basis of BJP, which is now so clear and is always expressed unequivocally, is something that is taking the party forward for two reasons. One, because in liberal democracies, parties try to become indistinct, and which is what becomes a prominent reason for decline. We see in the US that both the Liberal and Democratic Party became very indistinct from each other in late 80s and early 90s, though now they are diverging. So, and also because civilizational basis is the reason why you do not see confrontation between the center and the state. The BJP is a party which is under leadership of Prime Minister, which is exceptional in one sense that it has been able to establish a dual equilibrium. The equilibrium between government and the party, and the equilibrium between the center and the states. So with this, I conclude, and I congratulate Sri Ajay Singh for writing such a remarkable book, and I hope it would be it would be a significant contribution to the study of party building, party system, and also study of political leadership in India. This is something that researchers should use in their writings. And with this, I open the house for comments and questions. So would you like to add something?
No, it's all right. You have very nicely summarized it. शायद इतना अच्छे ढंग से तो मैं भी नहीं कर पाता, तो बहुत अच्छे ढंग से आपने समराइज किया, हमें लगता है। और क्या कहना है इस पे?
Okay, so shall we pick up questions from the audience? Now the floor is open for discussion, and please introduce yourself and ask questions.
So Vikas, can I begin?
Yes, sir.
So thank you, Ajay ji. I think it was a treat reading the book, because we have been studying and reading a lot about Prime Minister's tenure in government, what sort of maybe it's Swachh Abhiyan, Bharat Swachh Abhiyan, and all of the schemes, Labharthis, and I mean and again Vikas, I think very beautifully pointed out the pluses. How really the whole Sangathanist model, and I think that was also a wonderful way in which that was put. My very quick question is, the book mentions that he also had an interaction with Prime Minister Modi. So can you please let us know where does the PM see the party headed in terms of the leadership, especially because questions are being asked that okay, we do have now really Amit Shah, and obviously led by Prime Minister Modi, but where is the second tier of leadership, number one, and what sort of organizational challenges one can see in the coming months and years ahead? Thank you, sir.
You see, in politics, this business of soothsaying is not good business. So you cannot predict what kind of turn it will take. But my contention in the book was that since you have built such a robust organization, that this organization will invent its cycle of the times. So there is no worry that, with this kind of robust organization, BJP will continue to dominate the scenario at least for 3 decades, minimum. It will continue to have polar position. Uh, who will, I mean, if somebody were to ask that post Modi who, so that is a difficult thing, because what, to my mind, you cannot select the leader on the basis of surmises. And with this kind of organization, you will find your own icons. So I think BJP will find its own icons as the situation arises. Uh, I'll give you one example that nobody would have thought that there is a guy from Congress who will be heading the Assam. And he is as much aligned to BJP's principles as anybody else. So with this kind of organization, when you co-opt people who are from distinctly different organization, and you bring him into your fold and you make him your own. So if you have this kind of resilience, capability, capaciousness, then I don't see any challenge as of now. And my in the book, I have been very categorical in saying that with this strengthening of the organization, at least there is no, I mean, there will be no challenge to BJP, at least for decades to come.
Okay, thank you so much. May I now invite Smita to ask a question?
Good evening, sir. Very well written book. I had
Please
just
introduce yourself,
I'm
Smita.
Dr. Smita Agarwal, teaching as assistant professor in Department of Political Science, University of Delhi.
Hi, Smita.
So, sir, sir. I was inquisitive. I just want to push little bit more forward. Like, what would be the new trajectories of innovation which the BJP as a party would undertake so that it can continue uh, getting itself re-elected for the next 3 decades, as you have predicted? Like, on what more lines? Because we have seen in terms of governance, it has innovated itself. In terms of technology, it has innovated itself. In terms of infrastructure, it has innovated in itself. So how and in terms of party building and strategy, the kind of different kinds of coalitions it has built for itself, so in order to take the part for victory. So what new can the party think so that it continues to hold the aspirations of the electorate so that it can vote?
Well, you see, the most innovative strategy that the party had innovated was the perfect alignment between the organization and the government. So this perfect alignment was not seen anywhere. This you see, there is, even in Vajpayee's time, if you could recall, there was a kind of situation where party organization and the government were at variance at times. But here you will not find a situation where there is a discordant node between the party and the government. There is a perfect alignment. So that alignment in itself is a kind of very uh, strong achievement of the BJP and for the Prime Minister. So what I think, I mean, if they continue to go on the same lines, I don't see any challenge to BJP. And in the future also, I mean, as the time comes, if there are new challenges, so they have to respond to it immediately. But that is a kind of political situation, fluid political situation, for which it will be difficult for anybody to predict. But the basics are very strong. Since the basics are strong, my argument is, since the basics are very strong, so there will be no challenge, at least for the 3 decades. You see, Congress had occupied the polar position in since 50s, and it continued till two, 2000. I mean, till the end of 2000, and even after that. I mean, in 2004, they, despite their weaker position, there was no organization. They continued for 10 years, 2004 to 14. So, if an old organization can continue like this, so BJP has acquired so much of critical mass support and so much of organization infrastructure that it will be difficult for BJP to, I mean, get any challenge from the opposition. That was my argument.
Okay, so we will take one last question because we are really running ahead of time. So there's a question by Mridugunjan Deka, and he asks, my question is on the expansion of the BJP into areas where it was not culturally thought to be possible. What makes it so good at co-opting and appropriating politics based on identity, especially in places like Northeast India?
No, you see, when my book was released, I mean, when it was uh, released by Raksha Mantri, then I had a colleague. I mean, he was with me in Anand Bazar group, Mahesh Rangarajan. You may be knowing it. I mean, since he is also from academics. So Mahesh was there, and Mahesh spoke something very important. He said that till 2022, we heard about empowerment of scheduled tribe, but we never ever anticipated that there would be a tribal president till 2022. So this is the kind of, I mean, this is, if you see it minutely, you will find that with one stroke, BJP, by bringing president from the tribal background, BJP has made inroads into the tribal population, and this impression about BJP being a party of upper caste, that has been subsequently dispelled. So what I am trying to say, that even in cultural areas where the party was inaccessible, or in earlier times, in other areas where the party was not so much influential, they have made substantial inroads in that.
So I'm sorry, we cannot take any other question because we are really short on time. So I'm really grateful on behalf of the Indian Futures. I'm really grateful to the speaker, Sri Ajay Singh ji. My deep sense of gratitude to Dr. Manish Dhabade, and to all the listeners, researchers, academicians, and other people from other diverse background who could attend this session. It's really been an experience in learning, and personally I have benefited from reading this book and would be using in my research as well. And I hope the audience too reads it and learn something. And with this, I conclude the program. My deep sense of gratitude once again to one and all who all have gathered here. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay,
Thank
sir.
you. Thank you very much.